Texas just checked under the hood of its voter rolls and, surprise, surprise, found a few extra passengers who weren't exactly supposed to be there. The great state of brisket and renewed border security found thousands of non-citizens registered to vote, 2,724 to be exact. Texas election officials used a federal system called SAVE, short for Systemic Alien Verification for Entitlements. It's a database that basically checks to see if someone's a citizen before they go casting ballots for whoever promises free Wi-Fi and open borders. But we found them. And isn't that interesting? The very thing Democrats mocked as paranoid election policing is now the proof that more work could be done. Yet Democrats are already saying this is only 0.01% of the voters. Yeah, but that's like finding a few cockroaches in Florida. Technically, it's a small amount, but we don't just leave them. We eradicate the problem and try to improve conditions. Texas election officials aren't panicking. They are doing what good Republicans do. They're enforcing the rules. They're giving every flagged person 30 days to prove they're a citizen before they're booted off the list. Think of it like a gym member audit. Just show me your ID or get off the treadmill. And it's not just a random purge. They're cross-checking immigration data, naturalization records, and driver's license info. Basically, the voter rolls are getting a background check, and we are here for it. Here's the kicker. Other states could be doing the same thing, but they're not. Why? Texas just reminded America that democracy works better when the people actually running it are supposed to be here. Joining us now, campaign manager for Vote Yes on Prop 16, Charlie Collian. So, Charlie, what's the big takeaway from the revelation that we had thousands of non-citizens on the Texas voter rolls?
Well, the thing is, 2,700 non-citizens were taken off of Texas's voter rolls. Coming Election Day, Texans can send an overwhelming message that only U.S. citizens should be voting in all of Texas's elections. I mean, you look at big cities around the country, San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, D.C., they're all allowing non-citizens to vote in their local elections, and we need to absolutely make sure that never comes to the great state of Texas.
One thing that frustrates voters in jurisdictions with really good elections infrastructure is that within the same state, if you have one election supervisor who doesn't have great chain of custody or doesn't have great verification, that votes can be diluted. Is this proposition that you've got before the Texas voters sufficient so that you clean up any of the bad behavior at the local level?
Well, the good news is Texas recently passed a law that allows the Attorney General to actually prosecute election fraud in election-related cases. So our hope is that if we pass a constitutional amendment that says only U.S. citizens can vote in Texas elections, it's going to be taken seriously by the Attorney General's office.
How should states have good election integrity hygiene?
Well, I think like one of the most important things to realize is being a U.S. citizen is a privilege, and voting is a privilege as well. So only U.S. citizens should be voting. Everyone else in this country, legally or illegally, who's a non-citizen is ultimately a guest. You wouldn't go to someone else's house as a guest and tell them how to rearrange their furniture, how to conduct their affairs at their house. And same thing with people visiting the United States. They shouldn't be able to tell us who our leaders are. They shouldn't be able to vote in our elections or participate in our politics. And
if this is successful in Texas, is there any reason it shouldn't be modeled around the country?
Well, I'm thankful to report that 15 states already have an amendment that says only U.S. citizens should be voting. Texas would be the 16th, but ultimately this should be in every state. This should be a nationwide thing where only U.S. citizens should vote in all elections. I truly think this is something the founders of our country overlooked. I think they didn't, I didn't think they comprehended that liberals of today would be saying we need to have non-citizens participating in local elections.
Yeah, nobody else would do that. That is self-destructive behavior. What are the tactics that non-citizens typically use to get on the voter rolls?
Well, I mean, like what you see people do is they go to register, or they go to get a they go to get a driver's license, and they'll be asked if they want to register to vote. That's one thing that's fairly common. But ultimately, like, the voter rolls need to be clean. We need to make sure only U.S. citizens are voting. And what you see a lot of people make the argument is say, well, my kids are, I'm a non-citizen. My kids attend a local school. I should be able to vote in the school board election. But ultimately, like when you're a citizen, you take a much longer term view on this country, on our policy, on our politics. and you're going to have a much more responsible view on how you vote and who you're voting for and the policies you're choosing. So that's why, like, we feel only U.S. citizens should be voting in our elections. We've polled this. 88% of Texans believe that's the case as well. So I think we're going to be successful on election day, but like we need to get the word out. The election's just around the corner. And ultimately, if people show up to vote, I do think common sense is going to prevail.
And I am glad you're doing this in Texas, because the grand plan for Texas was to have a changing demographic and, as a consequence, flip Texas blue. And if you flip Texas blue with the number of electoral votes that moves, it just becomes very difficult for Republicans to win national elections. President Trump reignited opportunities for even more Republicans to win the Latino vote throughout Texas, and it's actually become a really big contributor to the success that we've seen from Republicans around the country. And so now I think it's a great time to have that terrific election integrity hygiene in Texas, have it copied around the country. Charlie Collian, thanks for leading the campaign. We wish you good luck as voters make their decision.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.